Jenny kissed me when we met, jumping from the chair she sat in. Time, you thief who love to get sweets into your list, put that in. Say I'm weary, say I'm sad, say that health and wealth have missed me. Say I'm growing old, but add, Jenny kissed me. I first heard this poem when I was in middle school, more than 60 years ago. I hadn't experienced enough of life at that age to have the soul of a poet, or to even understand the love and loss of Leigh Hunt. Yet his poem remained with me over the years. I recognized, even at that age, the elegance of being able to tell a story so clearly and so powerfully, with only a few words. We know little about Jenny, except that she inspired a love that endured a lifetime. Now I believe I have experienced enough of life, love, and loss to have earned, in some small measure, the soul of a poet. I don't write poetry, though, but I try to take photographs with the soul of a poet. I think that sometimes I succeed. So here's my recommendation. Stop thinking of photography as pictures of a waterfall, or a majestic mountain, or flowers, or a beautiful lake. Start thinking photography as the search for a story that you can turn into a poem. Poetry is about telling a story with few words, so each word is precious. Poetry is about distilling a story to its essence. Photography should be about telling a story with only a single image, so each element with that image is precious. Photography should be about distilling a story to its essence. Let me try to explain. Here's a photograph of Mont Saint-Michel in Normandy. It was an impregnable fortress during the 100 Years' War between England and France, because of the 45-foot tide that protected it. You can see the Abbey Church at the highest point of the island, topped with the gold-gilded statue of the Archangel Michael. You can see the village nestled at the base and the fortress walls. But have I told a story with this photograph? No. The essence of a thing is more than its physical appearance. It's the land or sea that surrounds it. It's the life, clouds, sun and moon swirling around it. It's about how it was born and how it will die. It's about how it seeps into our thoughts and feelings. Visiting Mont Saint-Michel has been a dream of mine since I was a boy, so I was very excited to see it. Here's my attempt at creating a visual poem about Mont Saint-Michel. Every decision I made in composing this shot is my wordless attempt at telling you a story as beautifully and as elegantly as I can. Seeing the difference between the two shots is easy. Can you also feel the difference? Here is Hvitserkur, the troll in Iceland. Please forgive what must be a terrible pronunciation. I wanted to photograph it backlit by a lovely sunrise, and I positioned the camera so that the small cluster of rocks formed a leading line to the rock formation. This image is a classically composed photograph, taken in beautiful conditions. Yet somehow I wasn't satisfied. Even as I took this photo, I felt that it didn't do justice to the essence of my experience. Looking at this photograph, I couldn't see the story I wanted to tell. And so I began to think about how I felt that morning. The hike to the shore in the dark, the feeling of the calm and gentle morning, the soft lapping of the tiny waves against the rocks, the excitement of seeing this iconic formation sitting alone on the edge of the wide fjord. I took this image 30 minutes after the first one. I wanted to show Hvitserkur isolated from its surroundings, standing alone in the vast fjord. The light mist and the incoming tide gave it a somewhat ethereal look. I wanted you to feel a sense of timelessness, a reminder that it existed well before the memory of man. To me, this tells a story that the first image did not. To me, this is more poetic. You may have noticed that in both examples I've used a wider perspective to create my poem. I often like to do that, but that's not always the case. Here's a formation of sandhill cranes flying to their roost in the ponds along the Rio Grande. This photo tells a story, but I wanted to tell a simpler and more elegant story. The sandhill cranes are prodigious flyers whose life is a series of uncertain destinations. This is what I wanted to emphasize in this photo. The Chupadera Mountains give this photo a sense of place, but to the cranes, each place is only temporary. What is enduring is the journey. And so I cropped out the mountains. I could have cropped this image more closely around the formation of cranes, but I didn't want them to fill the frame. I wanted the viewer to feel the enormity of the sky and the uncertainty of the task the cranes take on at the end of each day to find a safe roost for another night. So here's my final photo. My favorite element of this image is the bright spot on the left edge of the frame. I wanted that to be symbolic. I wanted that to represent their destination. To me, this final crop transformed a story into a poem. Here is Kilkerne Castle on Loch Awe in Scotland. The castle is well positioned, the reflection is lovely, and the colors are beautiful. But this is another photograph of a thing. I have neither captured the essence of the castle, nor my thoughts and feelings in seeing it for the first time. But as the evening progressed, the light became more dramatic. I began to include more and more of Loch Awe in an effort to tell the story of this evening. Kilkerne Castle remains an element of each image, but it becomes less dominant as the images begin to tell the story of the relationship of the castle to the loch, the weather, and the sunset. This last image, as it rained and the setting sun lit up a portion of the sky, is my idea of a poetic image. This image represents my love for Scotland. To me, the poetry of an image isn't about trying to exclude as much as possible. It's about being thoughtful about what I choose to leave in. Here's another image of sandhill cranes leaving their roost in the early morning. The most memorable event that morning had been the flight of the snow geese, who had left their roost earlier, far from us but visible in the distance in long, sinuous lines of hundreds or thousands of geese. When I looked at this picture of the sandhill cranes, I saw some of the snow geese near the bottom of the image, not much larger than dots. They were an element I chose to leave in the image. Even if no one else knew or understood that part of the story, I did, and so they stayed. Here's a photo of the Chama River in northern New Mexico. I'd originally intended to crop out much of the highway on the left of the image, but when I saw the image, I noticed a small herd of elk in the shallow river. I thought about how we humans occupied nearly the same space as the elk, while being oblivious. It seemed like a metaphor about life, and so the image remained with this crop. Here's my last story. I was in a high desert plateau a few years ago. I came upon an old homestead, just a small cabin and a makeshift shed. An early summer storm was approaching. I heard the thunder in the distance, and I wondered what it must have been like, perhaps 150 years ago, to live in such a place. It would have been a hard life. The land is poor and water scarce. Summers are fiercely hot and winters fiercely cold. That life must have been one of danger, interspersed with moments of great beauty. This old cabin was the story the earth gave me this day, and so I began to think about how to create a poem. I like this image of the broken down fence, jutting out like the bones of something long dead. I like the angel rays in the background. I think this picture works as a poem. Here's my last picture, as the storm got closer. I made the homestead tiny in the picture and put it in the corner, insignificant and vulnerable. I wanted the storm to be both beautiful and menacing. I like both of these last two images. They are slightly different stories, slightly different poems. And so I've said my piece. The beauty of this world is that we are all different. Even if we were to stand together at the same location, each with our own camera, the images we create would be different. Our poems would be different, because we see life through the lens of our memories, our dreams, and our fears. So if you take my advice at all, only do so in general terms. Create poems that have meaning to you. Thank you for watching my video.